New season of Clash, so it is time to also make a new guide, a new video on the current setup people are using to fully clear and to get higher scores on Dimensional Clash. Also, to let me know if you guys need a guide for the challenge mode here to be able to fully auto. If that's something you guys need, let me know. I've seen already a few guides, so I don't think it's necessary, but then again, they were mostly Japanese guides, so if you haven't seen it yet, let me know and I'll make a video. If not, let's jump directly into the Dimensional Clash guide for what is this? Late February. I don't even know what I live, bro. Hello there, guys. Welcome back to the Waifus. I'm Sefhi, your favorite gambling addict, and today's topic, Dimensional Clash guide for late February. As you can see, I got a rank 19. So we're reaching a point where a lot of people can fully clear. So how can you get a higher score if everyone is clearing earlier than you? Well, thankfully, this is not based on who clears first, but who clears faster. So as you can see, only one team, 29 seconds. The second guy, 35 seconds. And if you keep scrolling down, it's only getting slower and slower and slower. Then we have Timmy around here. Also one team, almost 3 minutes, right? So almost had to switch to 2 teams. And he's using Festa, funny enough. Okay, instead of Rim. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the current setup. As you guys can see, I got position 19 this time. I had to use 3 teams myself. You could be using only 2 teams if you are luckier on the RNG, right? Because there is a lot of RNG on these bosses as usual, in order for them to not do specific mechanics or to change the order of their skills and whatnot. So we're going to be talking about the depressed meta for this. Before we go into the depressed meta, as you can see for the second teams, whenever I don't have a full depressed team, what I do is I will put a full team of one personality and just rent, because remember, you guys can actually rent characters here. Rent one character, either a Shion or a Yomi, depending on what I'm missing. For my composed team, I had to put Ron because we're missing a front line, and I bricked my Yomi because Ron was actually buffing my Elena. So I actually bricked my run here, but they were able to clear because it was only a little bit of remaining health, right? Remaining health. Now, you might notice that even though I fully cleared, I have a lower score than the people at the top. And the reason is who uses one team and who is using multiple teams. So if we go right here, as you can see, attempt 1, attempt 2. That's the difference. If you have 0.93, it's basically one team alone, and then it's extra damage you can do. So it's people who can do extra damage based on how fast they're doing it, right? As you can see, with the time bonus. So that is why some people might have higher score, or why you might have a little bit lower, because you are capped by those bonus points, considering you use more teams. So that said, let me lower a little bit the music here, because I think it's way too higher. Dearly beloved. There we go, that should be better. So let's talk a little bit about what's going on with the current setup for the depressed girls, what items are good, and what I would recommend personally. For that, we're going to be jumping directly into the website, because it's a little bit more comfortable, a little bit easier to talk about it if we are on the team builder. So we're going to be clearing the whole grid, come in here, hopefully this is big enough for you guys, and let's talk about the current depressed team. So obviously your main hyper carries for this season are going to be Yomi and are going to be Shion. These two are the hyper carries for most people. That is because the bonifications are attack speed increased by 25% and reduces incoming damage incompatibility damage by 100%. This doesn't matter. You still want to be running a full depressed team because it's better. It's more damage. You will survive longer, etc. So these are your 2 hyper carries. Then we go into the obvious, right? The only proper tank we have is going to be Komi. Now, as you saw, a lot of people are not using a full front line with Rim and Kidian. They are using Kidian, but a lot of people will be switching from Rim to Festa. And the reason is simple, it's just her debuff is pretty decent, it's not bad. I might be building her for the next raid. She's not built for this one, and I don't care enough, to be honest with you guys. Let me put some gear right there. But her skill, if we come right here, is this one. Reduces outgoing damage for 4 seconds with this noise debuff. And this is her freshman, so you can actually proc this if you put enough SP and put an item on her to also stay alive, being a flower, maybe being some of the HP items, the lead item, whatever it is, right? So as long as you invest on this, you are good to go. Her senior skill you can ignore at least like level 4 only for the combat power, because it only affects her, even though if she gets the red light is good. And her passive, once again, you can ignore because she is not a damage dealer. So the only thing you care is this freshman skill right there, right? So that's why people are using Festa. I personally use Rim because I have her invested and not Festa, but it also does work. And then when it comes to your mid lane, obviously there is only a couple options, which is going to be Hilde and it's going to be Blanchett. Everything else in there is just not good, right? Choppy, Levi, and Vero are not great characters. So Hilde for heals, Blanchett for extra damage. And then for your backline, there is only two options, realistically, Ashur and Posher. Posher for the RNG heals, and Ashur for the extra damage. Now, like I said earlier, the characters that will be carrying you are Xion, are Yomi. There is a few items this season that are better. The main one is the Xion Scape. Okay, this is the main item you want to be running on most of your characters alongside the Dragonlight Sword when we're talking about pure damage. For Xion specifically, and since this season it's also applying an attack speed buff, you can run an extra mithril knife and she will have really good attack speed. And you can also do this on Kyrian if she is one of your main damage dealers instead, right? You could be going with the kettlebell and then double mithril knives for the extra attack speed, and she's gonna be headbutting everyone really fast. Now, for your Yomi, it changes a little bit because you still wanna be running your Xion Scape, but you wanna also be using the cake, and you want to be using either the flower or a Jade Codex. This is up to you. Flower is pretty good for the extra damage reduction, so I would actually take that. Now, when it comes to cake, it's not as good this season because the Crayon, this last boss, right, will spawn ads. So if he's spawning ads, the cake loses a lot of value. So in some cases, you can remove the cake and instead put either a Batter's yellow card, maybe a Dragonlight Sword, maybe a Mithril Knife, whatever you want, right? Cake is nice, but it depends how long the fight drags on for. When it comes to Festa, like I said earlier, you only want to keep her alive. So any of the normal items, be it the Leech one, be it the BB Staff, be it maybe the Grail of Origins for the extra defense, even the Scale Armor, if you have nothing else, will work. And you want to put her with some SP. I like the Healing Pendant because it's usually the one that gives the most SP, nothing else, okay? But any SP item will work on her. And when it comes to your Komi, same thing, Lid's item, BB's item, even a Yomi Moonflower for the extra damage reduction would work. Anything you can put on her for the extra damage reduction will be good. You usually don't need to put more than 2 items on your Komi, but this depends on account investment and your items. As you all know, guys, this is heavily based on your combat power, right? Like if you cannot fully clear, it's normal. If you get the stack on stage 6, 9, 12, it's completely normal. Don't feel too bad. At least it will just take time. More people are getting to stage 15 now, which is nice to see that we are able to reach higher damage ceilings for most players, okay? As long as you participate, you already get good rewards, which is more than anything. But that's the setup most people are running. Obviously, if you have a highly invested Ashur or Blanchett, you could be going for something like that. You will not be able to put items on all of these girls, by the way. So it's either Yomi and Xion, or Yomi and Kyrian, or Xion and Kyrian, one of those combinations, right? But you will not have items for all 3 of them. So if you have any leftovers, you could be putting it into your Hilde for the extra heals, or you could be putting just simply on Ashur or Blanchett, or one more item on Festa to keep her alive. Up to you. But that is the setup most people are going to be running at the moment. And that's honestly basically everything for this video, because there is not much else to say. When it comes to secondary and third teams, like I said already, you want to just put all of the characters from one personality, so you get the damage bonification, and then just one hyper carry that you rent, nothing else. That's it. That's basically everything for this video. As usual, any questions you guys might have, feel free to leave a comment down below. Good luck with your pool dinner rates, and I'll see you on the next one.